Today on Will Bake for Food, I'm going to show you how to make these French macaron cookies.
Only food for me. Food, food, food.
So today we're going to make red raspberry-filled French macaron cookies. You can find all the instructions and a full list of ingredients on my Will Bake for Food blog. Now, let's get started. These are so temperamental, and you have to weigh everything. You can get a kitchen scale pretty cheaply, like at Walmart or something like that. So it's really easy to do with a kitchen scale. Otherwise, you're gonna get a runny batter. They'll be all over the kitchen. Oh, believe me, I have tried everything. So I have my scale and a bowl here, and what I'm doing is I've got it to the gram setting. Make sure that you have all the different kinds of settings on your scale. Got it to the gram setting, and I separated 3 eggs from the yolks from the whites. The yolks are in the fridge. I'll make some mayonnaise or something later. And the whites have been sitting out for about 4 hours. Now, I have seen tutorials, etc., that have literally opened the eggs over the bowl and then, you know, make them. So you don't necessarily have to sit them out. But what you do when you sit them out, especially on a day like today, it's kind of humid outside, is you let the egg whites dry out. Basically, all of our recipe is making a meringue and then a drier meringue and then making sure that it dries out. So I'm going to measure my egg whites and see how many grams I have here. So I have 92 grams of egg whites. I'm gonna set those aside and measure out my dry ingredients for a minute, and then we'll start making the meringue. So with my bowl and my sifter already in my bowl, I'm going to go ahead and tare my scale again, so it's zeroed out, etc. And the first thing that we need is almond flour. Now, if we want 1-to-1, that would be an exact 92. But what I like to do is up it just about 10 grams, both of them about 10 grams. So we're gonna put 102 grams of almond flour into our bowl. That's 103. And it's circa a little over a cup, okay? So that's what we want. Now, that part is done. Now, with this in here, I'm gonna go ahead and tare this again so it's zeroed out. So our scale thinks there's nothing. And then I have some confectioner sugar. Now, this is probably blasphemy as far as most cooks go, but this is the way I do it and it seems to work. So I have my scale zeroed out, and we need about 200 grams, or if we do 1-to-1 to 2, then we would need 180 grams of this. So I'm gonna put 200 grams. So what we're gonna end up with is a dry ingredient mixture that is about 20 more grams than what you would need normally in a normal ratio. All right, so I have 205 grams of confectioner's sugar, and that's about 1.5 cups. So basically we have a cup, we have our 3 egg whites, and then we have a cup, a little over mounding cup, if you will, of almond flour, and about 1.5 cups of confectioner's sugar. But I'm telling you, without weighing this, it is almost impossible. The next thing we do is sift these ingredients together. What I found is that the more you sift them, the more the mixture comes together and you have that nice smooth pop. So I'm gonna go ahead and sift this 4 times. We'll be back in a second. Here's my next trick. So our pans have to be lined with parchment paper, and I'm lucky and I have these little individually packed parchment paper. So I'm putting after I got it into my bowl, I'm putting my sieve on my parchment paper and then just pouring out my ingredient from my bowl into the sieve through my parchment paper, stick it back in the bowl, then voila, you have a way to put all of that back in there. About 1/8 teaspoon of cream of tartar, which will help to start to make the eggs frothy and break down. A little bit of acidity helps making a meringue. And I've got the whisk attachment on my hand mixer here. Now it's time to incorporate our sugar. Before I put my scale up, I measured out 45 grams of sugar. Well, basically that's a little bit over 3 tablespoons, or a little less than 1/4 cup. So we're gonna just put a little bit at a time into our meringue here so that the sugar can dissolve. Okay, so it's been about 3 to 4 minutes, and I've gotten my egg whites to a pretty stiff peak. One of the tutorials I saw said that if you turn it up like this, it should not move out of the bowl. So that's good. Now it's time to color them. Since we're going with raspberry, I'm going to, raspberry buttercream I should say, I'm gonna go ahead and put just a little bit of red in here. Now this is really, really potent, so you only need a couple of drops. And I like this gel much better than a liquid food coloring because what we're trying to do here is dry this out for sure. Okay, slowly start to mix. Go. Now this is going to feel like it's really red, but what I have discovered is that because of the white in there and cooking, it gets lighter as it cooks. So you want it pretty red to start with and then let it get lighter. We have a pretty firm peak, which is exactly what we're going for there. If you were to hold that up, see, it's a pretty firm peak. This is the part where you can go terribly, terribly wrong. Here is a suggestion. Before you start combining these, make sure that the rest of your cooking stuff is prepped. So what I have here is 2 pans, because you'll have about that much meringue, lined with parchment paper, as well as I have a piping bag that I've put this is a 2A tip in. Now, here's a little trick I learned. This batter is going to be runny, so go ahead and twist your piping bag and then stick that down in there so that it doesn't come out. And take a tall drinking glass of some sort and pull this over the sides and set that aside. So now you're ready for when your batter is complete. This is the tough part, and where I have failed many times, and it's okay, I promise. The cookies will still taste amazing regardless of your success. So, what we have here is our dry ingredients, and we have to, the French have created a term for this. It's called macaronage, macaronage, right? Macaronage, the dry ingredient mixture into the meringue. So we go about 1/3 at a time of this mixture, and I'm just gonna put it on top here. And the way that you fold it in is real simple. You cut, scrape, turn your bowl. Cut, scrape, turn your bowl. Cut, scrape, turn your bowl. And you keep going around. I like to use silicone because it scrapes all the side of the bowl. So, I have found that basically what you want is for your batter to look a little bit like lava. That's what all the tutorials say. Well, girl, I ain't never been to Hawaii. What does that look like? So what I finally figured out was you do have to play with it several times, but it will be glossy for sure on top. And then when you hold it up and let it drop, it drops and it flows back into the entire mixture, right? That probably needs a couple more rounds just to get it exactly perfect, okay? Great. That looks almost perfect. Now, you say, oh, that looks like a sloppy mess. Well, until we get it piped out, it kind of is. So I have all this into my piping bag, and I'm just gonna make sure that it flows down, and you will see that it's come to the bottom, which is why we put that there, because the minute I open this, we got to start piping. The way that you want to pipe it is hold it straight up and down and pipe a little squeeze about 1 inch or 2 inches wide or whatever, release and let it go. I'll try to demonstrate a few, but I'm not sure that I can talk and do it at the same time. I need a cameraman. Okay, so I got these all piped out, just little mounds here, and I put them about 2 inches apart. And what I have found is in my practicing, I use this silk pat and I use this little plastic thing that we have, and then I use parchment paper, and parchment paper is quite possibly the best solution for my oven. I have a gas oven, so things are a little bit different. But here is the fun part, and if you have aggressions, this is the time you take them out. So just hold your pan pretty evenly and drop it 5 times. 1, 5, I'm gonna go one more. 6. Now, What that's done, if you can tell here, is it spread them out, made them flat, but also you'll see little air bubbles that have come out. So what we've done inadvertently is popped some of the air out of them, so when they rise, then we're okay. Now, here is the waiting part that a lot of people don't do, but you have to get that good foot on the bottom of them. These need to sit on the pan for about 20 minutes before they're baked. So I have not turned my oven on yet. I'm going to turn my oven on to 300 degrees right now, and while it preheats, let these sit so that they can get that glossy top, and when they bake, they'll rise up with a foot. Okay, so it's been 20 minutes since I let these sit, and they look gorgeous, but I'm going to show you what the tell is to know if they're ready to go or not. If you push on them, see how it kind of stuck to my finger? So it needs a little bit more time to let that dry out on top. Now it is very humid here today, so it's gonna take a little bit of extra time. So I'm gonna give them another 10 minutes and then we'll check them again. Okay, so the first batch is about ready. I wanna show you what happens when they are ready to go is when you push into them, they do not stick at all to your finger. See, kind of makes a dent. So that means that the shell is ready to go, and whenever we stick it into the oven, it will create this little foot on the bottom, or a little skirt around the bottom. So I like to cook these one pan at a time. So I'm gonna stick these in the middle of my preheated 300-degree oven. It's taken about 30 minutes to get them to this place. And the other pan, just leave it out and it will create that skin as you go along, and it's okay. They go in for about between 13 and 15 minutes. Okay, these have been in for 14 minutes, and I wanna show you your tell. Open your oven door and just try to pick them up off the parchment paper. If they lift completely off, they are ready to come out. I dropped my phone. Okay, so I got my first pan out, and the most important thing now is to get these off of here so that they do not keep cooking. So we want to get them to where they'll start to cool, and there we go. We're gonna make the buttercream to go in the middle of them. This is a standard buttercream, and it is literally a buttercream. There is no additive in it besides that. So I've got 5 tablespoons of butter, a little over a half a stick, okay? And it's at room temperature, and I'm just gonna cream it up here. So once I got the butter broken up with my regular paddle, I put this scraper paddle on here, and I'm gonna let it beat for about couple of 3 minutes just to let it all get frothy and most of the color to be gone out of the butter. That's looking pretty good. So for a buttercream, all you have is butter, confectioner's sugar, and then whatever flavoring you want to put in it. And we're gonna put a little bit of dye in there too. So I've got half a cup of confectioner's sugar that I sifted about. I measured it out, it was 80 grams. So we're gonna put that in there and then go slowly until it kind of absorbs some of it. If you went to high speed right now, it would go all over the kitchen. After about 30 seconds, it comes together. There's a minute there, you're like, oh, I don't know. Okay, so at the moment, we just got salted butter and confectioner's sugar, so it's gonna be really sweet. So I put a teaspoon of vanilla extract in, let that mix together. This is Lorraine Oil's raspberry extract, and I used this the other day, and it's amazing. But I had these droppers, and basically it took 2 droppers to make this amount of buttercream good, and I have them in here, and it's pretty thick, so I'm just gonna use the dropper again. But what that measures out to, if you're more of a measure person and you can't find a dropper, is about 1/8 a teaspoon. And it doesn't take much. This is strong, strong flavor. Needs just a little bit more raspberry for my taste buds. It's time to color it. And there's no need to spread this anywhere. Just put a little bit in there. Just a dab, like a little blob. And mix it. Now I've got a piping bag here, and I haven't put a tip in it. It's okay, you don't need that in there. We'll cut it in just a second. And we're just gonna scrape all of our buttercream into this bag and snip the end of it here, and I'm just going to put them together. This is the perfect French macaron cookie. Thank you all so much for watching We'll Bake for Food. See you next time.
Only food.